Hello and welcome to another one of our monthly wellness webinars. I'm William. We got a special guest with us today, Blake. Blake is the wellness director at Cambridge Village in Wilmington. So today we're going to be talking about upper body strength, why it's important, and some exercises and stuff that you can do at home. So Blake, why don't you tell us a little bit about why the upper body strength and core is so important?
When it comes to the upper body, you really want to be aware of how much you do use your arms throughout the day. You're pushing things, you're pulling things, you're lifting things up. You need to be able to, stand up at times from a low position, so you may have to use your arms to press your way up. You may have to lift the load and carry it, and you want to be able to carry that load using your arms, using your shoulders, without putting a lot of taxing load on your lower back. That's why today we're not only going to talk about upper body strength, but how we can utilize our core strength to kind of make those upper body positions a little safer for our overall movement. All right, first movement is going to be our push-up position. Now, today we're utilizing our weight bench that we use in the gym, but at home you can utilize, the couch, a chair, something that's heavy, that's sturdy, that when you lean on it, it's not going to move. So if you need to put a chair against the wall to make sure that object does not move, that'd be a good idea. Next body position you want to do, hands go on, and you want to have good relationship between the angle on your shoulder to your wrist. If you're backed up too much, as you press in, what can happen is you can put your shoulder in a little impingement. So we want to try to keep your shoulders stacked over the wrist, and we can turn our fingertips out just a little bit, and that will deload the wrist. Then we want to slowly lower in with elbows going back on a 45-degree angle, and then pushing up. Start off at about halfway and just try to create good symmetry between your shoulders. You never want to hike up one shoulder or feel one elbow flaring out to the side. You really just want to maintain a straight body position from your head all the way down to your heels and lower your body weight all the way down and all the way up. Once that gets easier on that surface, you can drop down to the floor space and then work on a push-up from the ground. All right, welcome back. Next one, we're moving into a little bit more of a functional movement. This is going to be a tricep dip. So whenever we're doing our tricep dip, we want to make sure that the surface that we're using has some integrity. We want it to be stable enough to where when we're putting our hands and all of our body weight through those hands, you don't want your hands to sink into a soft couch cushion. And you also don't want that chair or bench to fall forward off because you're putting all of your weight on one side of that bench. So just be aware of that. Next thing you want to do, you want to posture up, put those hands directly to the side of your hips, and then move your hips just slightly in front of the bench. A lot of people will sometimes put their shoulders in a vulnerable position by moving their body away from the bench, and that can cause some impingement or overstretching in the anterior part of your deltoid. So make sure that you're lowering down and pushing up. You don't have to go as low as you can go, really just mastering a half and then pushing all the way up. Adding a little bit of a shrug or scapular depression will add to that movement and create a strong, stable shoulder. All right, hope you guys have enjoyed the pushing mechanism. Next thing we're going to work is more of a pulling mechanism. Now, pulling is typically kind of our main focus when it comes to upper body. Typically, that's where we start. If you've got a bad shoulder, you're not able to reach, pulling exercise can be more of a safer movement for you. And it's also one of the more functional strengths that you'll need through a daily activity. Today, we're going to be doing a bench over row. So you're going to have 1 foot forward and 1 foot back. The side that's in the back is going to be the side that you are pulling. You can support your balance and your other hand on a bench or on your knee. And what you're doing, you're trying to lift the weight from the lower height of your knee up to the armpit of the other shoulder. The eyes can gaze down and you're pulling up. Now this is going to be one of your strongest motions in your shoulder. So try to challenge yourself. 5, 8, 10 pounds of weight up and down. Just like so. Trying to hit about 10 to 15 reps in a row and working on that perfect form. Make sure you're not overreaching towards the floor. Notice how that creates a bad spine angle and puts a little pressure on the lower back. You want to keep your chest up and only allow that arm to reach in the length of that elbow, not adding into that shoulder in rotation. Next one, we're going to be talking about the bicep. The bicep runs from the elbow to the shoulder. This is the motion that the bicep acts in. So a couple different things we can do. We can grab Soup cans at the lightest weight. You can grab a water bottle or a jug, a 2 3 gallon jug of water. Today we're going to be using these loop bands because you can stand on one end, you can fold the other end, and then you can really structure your shoulder blades down and back as you're pulling your fist to your shoulder. Now the position of your wrist does make a difference in what part of your bicep you're working. My fists are kind of pointing down, so we're doing a little bit more of what's called a hammer curl. You could hold a weight, palm up, that's going to be more of a structured bicep curl. Both are very functional movements and should be practiced at least 2 or 3 times a week. Work on up to 10 to 15 reps in a row, and we're looking to hit about 2 to 3 sets. By conditioning this muscle, this will give you the strength to be able to carry loads. When you try to carry all those groceries in at once, this will get those arms strong enough to maintain. As you continue to pull and your arms get tired, try not to round forward. That's a common error in a lot of my classes. We try to roll those shoulders down and back, keeping that chest up tall, and we're pulling until we're fatigued. Take a break and shake it out. Good job. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are moving on to the core. The most important part of your body, the area of your body that protects your back, gives you balance, gives you stability, helps you age. I mean, it's so very important. Now, the core can be contracted in a bunch of different ways. I mean, you can do abdominal bracing, you can do abdominal, contraction, you can do transverse abdominis type contraction. We're going to be working on today with 3 different movements. We're going to start off with an anti-rotational movement called the Palloff Press. You're going to need some sort of an elastic band set up around a column or a post that's about the height of your, no lower than really your hips. You want to position your hands on that band and then interlace your fingers to create one solid unit. You're then going to step away with the band still right at your midline. As you push your arms forward, you're going to feel that lever arm increase. Your arms are going to then get pulled towards the anchor. Your job is to keep those hands directly in front of your midline. A lot of times working with a trainer can position their hands directly in front of you. That way you really have a target that you can aim for. As you're doing this, you're going to feel that opposite side really lighting up as you're pushing forward. The closer your feet are in your stance, the harder it's going to be. So position your feet in a comfortable setting to start. Rep out maybe 10 or 20 reps, and then bring your feet a little closer together and continue with another 10 or 20 reps. You will then have to turn around and face the other direction so that you can work the opposite side. Give it a try. All right, welcome back. All right, we've got our second out of 3 core exercises. This next one is all about rotation. The Palloff Press, we were trying to avoid any rotation. With this one, we're promoting rotation. The arms stay out about 60 or 70% of their straight arm length. Then we're going to be pulling away from the anchor point. Now notice, my back foot is rotating as my upper body is turning. That's going to protect this knee. If we just rotate on this leg, you can try to torque this knee on the inside. So make sure foot's rotating, the core is staying tight. It's not arms. It's more of your body is staying in a tight motion and the body is just rotating as one. Great for our golfers, great for our tennis athletes, our swimmers. All of those different rotational type exercises will really help you start to understand how to utilize your core to produce power in your arms and build that strength up to be better at life or your sport. All right, our last core movement that we're going to show you today. This is your, traditional style core movement. Now, we were taught over like 20 years ago that this was going to give you results. You were going to get that 6-pack abs, but really they didn't tell you you're going to mess your neck up and just your spine is just not happy in that position. So I'm going to teach you a couple movements today to really help give you some integrity in your core. First thing first, you need to lay down with the knees propped up. You then want to understand how to pelvic tilt. It's a rotation in the pelvis to flatten the lower back and contract the abdominals. You want to be able to do this on command and breathe at the same time. We have so many people trying to participate in our core classes, and what happens is I see their face, they're turning red, and they're not breathing as they're holding. So make sure you master that first. While you can maintain that contraction, the next step would be moving the legs. Sometimes it's best to move one leg over and over instead of marching. A lot of times, a lot of my students kind of lose that contraction. You want to be able to maintain that hold throughout the lift, whether the leg is straight or bent. Next up, we're going into a static hold. You can bring those feet up, 90-degree bend at the hips, 90-degree bend at the knees. You can add an object between the knees. That's going to increase kind of some pelvic floor and adductor strength. Holding that, continuing to breathe, and maintaining that position. If you want to add a dynamic movement, you can start here, and then you can then perform, we call it a dead bug. It's like a bug stuck on your back, and you're just kind of kicking arms, kicking legs, and now it's opposites. So as my left arm goes up, my right arm goes straight. Now this is an advanced movement. If you feel your lower back creating some space, you want to come back into more of a heel tap. Okay? You can also grab a dowel rod or any type of light weight and work on that 90-90 hold with an overhead reach. All right, give those variations a try. Hope you enjoyed our webinar today. We'll catch you next month.